But first, several schools in Richmond County reopening this week after moving online. Teachers say grades continue to suffer and some students aren't logging in at all. Wrdw shows us how schools plan to try to help our kids.
Lake Forest Hills Elementary is learning from home today, but they'll be back face-to-face starting tomorrow. So many parents are frustrated with all this back and forth. The school district says they're just trying their best. Richmond County says they've given teachers some guidelines to help with the changes in learning models. They say it's a fluid situation and every teacher does it a little differently. District officials say they encourage parents and teachers to communicate more, and they also ask teachers to be sensitive to the best types of assignments for the situation. Yet some parents say that hurts their child's education. Associate Superintendent for Academic Services, Dr. Melinda Cobb, says it's a challenge they're learning to manage each day.
How do you make it smooth? I don't know that you can, but we try to be as prepared as we can. The better your relationship is with your teacher, whether that's face-to-face or online, will certainly make everything easier.
Several schools across Richmond County are also learning from home today, and as cases continue to spike, Richmond County officials are starting to introduce some new ways for parents to keep their kids at home. We'll walk you through some of those options on News 12 at 6 o'clock. Reporting in Augusta, Wrdw on your side.
Two more Richmond County schools announcing they are closing. The Performance Learning Center will reopen January 11th, and Warren Road Elementary will reopen the 12th. 2 of the 9 Richmond County schools closed reopen tomorrow. And today is Hepzibah High School's first day back after closing on the 7th. Edgefield County just announcing this afternoon all of their schools will learn from home this week. So a lot for these school districts to juggle. It is hard to keep up with all of it. Taking a look outside as the sun sets on a nice day in Aiken, Riley.
And our next system is moving in Tuesday night and Wednesday. Take a look at what we can expect then coming up.
COVID-19 vaccines arriving in Georgia and South Carolina today. Some frontline health workers across the country already getting their first dose. Naomi Ruckham is outside a hospital in Queens, New York, where the first person got vaccinated.
In a live-streamed event from Long Island Jewish Medical Center, critical care nurse Sandra Lindsay was given the first dose of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine.
You didn't flinch. I take it that Dr. Chester has a good touch.
She had a good touch, and it didn't feel any different from taking any other vaccine.
Lindsay's hospital is in Queens, New York, one of the communities hardest hit when the pandemic began. She's been on the front line from the start and has a message for all Americans.
I want to instill public confidence that the vaccine is safe.
The vaccine can't come soon enough. The overall U.S. death toll is expected to hit 300,000 later today.
Vaccines on the shelf are useless, and unless a large majority of us gets vaccinated, we will not be able to control this pandemic.
The massive coordinated shipping effort began Sunday. Trucks filled with vaccine doses left Pfizer's facility in Michigan under U.S. Marshal escort. The first wave includes 2.9 million doses packed in boxes that will keep the vaccine at negative 94 degrees. Both UPS and FedEx are delivering them to 145 distribution centers in 30 cities across the country.
Operation Warp Speed is taking care of the cost of the vaccines themselves, the ancillary supplies like needles and syringes, and the cost of distributing the vaccines to jurisdictions.
First doses are also going to nursing home residents. More than 76,000 residents in long-term care facilities have died from COVID-19, and nearly 1,200 staff members.
The head of the government's vaccine program estimates there should be enough doses for the entire U.S. population by the end of May or the middle of June. A COVID-19 vaccine for animals is in its final phase in Russia. It's meant for animals that are vulnerable to the coronavirus, or at least ones we know are vulnerable, like cats, ferrets, minks, hamsters, and bats. The Federal Center for Animal Health is testing the vaccine on rabbits right now. Just last March, Denmark culled 17 million minks in response to COVID outbreaks at more than 200 mink farms. Scientists creating it say their vaccine should be ready by the end of January. Congress is releasing 2 separate plans today, trying to compromise on coronavirus relief. The goal is to pass a COVID-19 aid package by this Friday. The lawmakers cannot agree on the size or the extent of the relief. This Friday is the deadline to pass laws to keep the government funded, and a COVID aid package comes along with that. Congress has not approved relief like this since back in March when they passed the CARES Act. Just this morning, Georgia's 16 electors officially cast ballots for President-elect Joe Biden. In South Carolina, the 9 electors cast votes for President Donald Trump. Across the country, electors take this step to formally choose Joe Biden as the nation's next president. But as Michael George explains, President Trump has not conceded the election following weeks of legal challenges.
The people have spoken.
Today, the Electoral College will officially affirm President-elect Joe Biden's win as electors cast their ballots in state houses across the nation.
I have 9 votes cast for Donald J. Trump as president for South Carolina.
The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania have cast 20 votes for the Honorable Joseph R. Biden.
Among those casting their votes for Mr. Biden are several states that were contested by the Trump campaign, including Georgia, where Biden became the first Democrat to win in 28 years.
I am pleased to announce that Joseph R. Biden has received 16 votes for President of the United States.
Also, Wisconsin, where the state Supreme Court just rejected a lawsuit challenging the election results.
We made it.
The president-elect spent the day here in Delaware, receiving the presidential daily intelligence briefing and meeting with his transition officials.
President Trump is vowing to continue his fight against the election results. Trump campaign senior advisor Stephen Miller on Fox News Channel Monday.
We have more than enough time to right the wrong of this fraudulent election result and certify Donald Trump as the winner of the election.
Over the weekend, hundreds of the president's supporters gathered in Washington to denounce Biden's victory, and some of the demonstrations turned violent. A new CBS News poll finds 82% of Trump supporters do not consider Joe Biden's win legitimate. Yet overall, 62% of the nation's voters feel the election is over and settled.
And just in the past half hour, we're learning the Georgia-Vandy game scheduled for this Saturday, that has been canceled. The SEC announced that just this afternoon, saying the game is declared a no contest. It's canceled because of COVID-19 protocols. A gunman who opened fire on the steps of a Manhattan cathedral shot in the head and killed. Police say it happened right after Christmas caroling ended at the church yesterday. People were outside when the gunman climbed the church steps and opened fire. Officials say 3 officers were on the scene right away, exchanged gunfire with that shooter.
I can tell you that from the preliminary body camera, and again, this is quick, that we watched, you see 3 officers acting heroically. Sergeant, detective, and police officer. Engaging an armed perpetrator, putting themselves in harm's way.
2 handguns and a bag with gasoline, rope, and knives were all recovered, all believed to belong to that shooter. They say the shooter had a lengthy criminal history. Apple is responding after a plant that makes iPhones in India gets hit with violence over the weekend. Workers trashed the facility. You can see they've set fires outside. They attacked a guard post, smashed car windows in a parking area. A union representative says workers have been demanding payment of unpaid wages and better working hours. Apple says they're investigating if the Taiwanese contractor it works with violated their supplier guidelines.
Whoever it might be, the culprit should be booked and necessary action will be taken and due inquiry will be conducted to ascertain what is the reason, what was the reason for all this incident to trigger, and necessary measure will be taken.
Wistron is one of Apple's top global suppliers. Meanwhile, Apple working to make data transparency a little easier. The company is rolling out nutrition labels for apps. Breaks down what kind of data is collected and shared for each app, from financial and location information to browsing and purchase history. It'll be interesting to see some of those. The feature debuted today, and labels will appear on more apps in the days ahead. As students facing challenges learning in the pandemic, one teacher is going above and beyond to try to help out. A Wisconsin teacher researched, designed, and built this outdoor classroom. Family helped her build this dome-shaped classroom. It has a tinted roof, wooden desks, and school supplies inside. She says her students have been super engaged and focused since the change. A fun Christmas activity for you to enjoy this evening. The Augusta Salvation Army is putting on a virtual Red Kettle concert. Starts tonight at 7. It'll feature a lot of local artists you may recognize. If you want to check out that live stream, head to our Facebook page. We'll take you there through the link. You can also watch it live and donate on the Salvation Army's Facebook page or at redkettleconcert.org. News 12 proud to sponsor this event, really hoping to raise some money for our community in a tough time. If you still need to shop for the holidays, you're starting to cut it pretty close. We're going to show you those last-minute options when we get back.
And it is going to be a chilly night, back down into the 30s for us by early Tuesday morning. We are tracking our next system already by Tuesday night. We'll take a look at it coming up.
Message.
If you still need to order something or send a last-minute package in time for Christmas, you're starting to run out of time. Tomorrow is the ground shipping deadline, with most major carriers to guarantee package delivery by Christmas. Elise Preston shows us some of those options for last-minute shoppers.
Shoppers are scurrying to ship holiday gifts in time.
I am dropping off Christmas gifts for my sister, my nephew, and my soon-to-be niece.
There's enough time, so I think it should be fine.
With increased online shopping and fewer in-person get-togethers, industry analysts say this year about 3 billion packages are being shipped between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
I have never seen a demand that is at that high, exceeding the capacity no matter which carrier you are.
November 22nd through December 5th, FedEx, UPS, and the U.S. Postal Service all received high on-time performance ratings, and all up from the same period last year. But now, it's crunch time. The deadline for ground shipping from major carriers is Tuesday, December 15th. Greeting cards have to be mailed by the 18th. From the 19th onward, there are pricier options for priority mail and select, express, and overnight services.
Some post offices around the country have extended hours and added Sundays for people who need all the time they can get.
And for the procrastinators, there are other ways to still gift in time.
Number 1, consider buy online, pick up curbside. Number 2, don't rule out your local stores, think boutiques and even grocery stores. And last but not least, consider an e-gift card or an e-virtual experience.
Experts say be prepared for possible inventory issues and shipping snags. And if your gift is late, remember, it's the thought that counts.
Now, Amazon plans to continue delivering all the way through Christmas Eve, but check on your order status. There might be some snags along the way. A rainy start today gave way to a pretty nice afternoon, Riley.
Begin with the Georgia Senate runoffs as early voting begins today.
It is the two races the whole country has their eye on. Ossoff against Perdue and Loeffler against Warnock. The power in the U.S. Senate on the line. The line stretched outside the Bell Auditorium today. This is the only place you can vote early in Richmond County right now. Other polling places don't open for another 2 weeks. But Sydney Heiberger is live for us outside the Bell. She's been there on and off throughout the day. So how was the turnout from day one, Sydney?
Well, Laura, like you said, the first day of early voting is in the books, and we did see steady lines here at the Bell Auditorium throughout the whole day. Now, I did talk to some Richmond County election leaders who told me they don't think that the turnout for this runoff will be as big as we saw in the general election, which is about 65% turnout, but they told me they wouldn't be surprised if we reach numbers around 50%. A rainy morning didn't stop voters like Bernie Sludson from hitting the polls early.
Even though it's rain, it could be snowing. I would have been out here.
Richmond County officials let people wait inside while it was raining, but if they were outside, they say the scene would have been similar to what we saw in November.
It would have been down the street and around the corner on its way down to the arena.
It's a testament to a runoff unlike any other, and why Stephen Newman came out to vote in his very first runoff election.
This is very important for the Senate seat. This is for the Senate, so we had to come out here and vote and do what was proper.
Richmond County election leaders say they've mailed out 25,000 absentee ballots so far, but requests are still coming in daily.
Frankly, we had so many applications that came in last week that we put the signature verification stuff on hold so we could go ahead and turn the ballot applications around and get ballots out.
Like the general election, the state has allowed local election districts to start processing those mail-in votes 2 weeks before Election Day. So Richmond County says they'll start opening envelopes on the 21st.
I think that'll be adequate time for us to get our work done.
They expect to have the results late election night, results of 2 Senate seats that could change the course of Congress entirely. Now, the difference about this election from November is that we have 2 major holidays falling during early voting, which means voters here are going to have 2 fewer days to vote early in person due to the Christmas holiday and 1 fewer day to turn in those mail-in ballots due to the New Year's holiday.
No, there's a lot of work going into this race. All eyes in the country on it. Sydney, thank you for those updates. And a reminder for these first 2 weeks of early voting, voters in Richmond County can vote at the Bell Auditorium. In Columbia County, you have two options, building G3 at the Government Complex in Evans or the old Uchee Creek Library in Grovetown. Both locations will be open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
If you're voting by mail, drop boxes are already open in Richmond County at these locations. There are no drop boxes in Columbia County. Those ballots have to be mailed and have to arrive at the election office by 7 in the evening on Election Day, January 5th. With more people using vote by mail, sent this statement out today saying he's grateful for the support of the people of North Augusta for the last 3.5 years. He says it's been an honor and he's thankful for the opportunity. Two candidates have announced they are running for North Augusta mayor. That's Stetson Corbett and Britton Williams. Their primary is in February.
A drop in new COVID cases on both sides of the river tonight, which is music to all of our ears. 3,300 new cases in Georgia. That's the fewest in more than a week. That's after 4 straight days of at least 4,000 new cases in the Peach State a day. And in South Carolina, 2,300 new cases. That's the fewest we've seen in 4 days and fewer than 7 out of the last 10 days.
We have some new numbers out of our local hospitals to show you. This graph shows how many COVID patients have been in the hospital each day since December the 1st. You can see the trend. Since then, you can see University and Doctors Hospitals have nearly doubled the number of patients. University at 95, AU Health with 66, Doctors with 36 COVID patients.
Meanwhile, nearly 6,000 doses arrived today on the Georgia coast. These shipments in Savannah and Brunswick are the first vaccine doses to arrive in Georgia. Medical workers there, you see them unpacking those doses, loading them into freezers, and these are some of the 2 million doses sent out by Pfizer today. Some hospitals up near Myrtle Beach have also gotten vaccine doses. This is at Conway Medical Center, where their healthcare workers are the first to get the vaccine there in South Carolina. The medical center got almost 1,000 doses this morning, and South Carolina expects 43,000 doses in the state by Wednesday. But we still don't know when those vaccines will be getting to our hospitals right here at home in the river region.
And we need all the help we can get, as we've told you about a nursing shortage we're facing. Wrdw reports we could be soon getting some reinforcements.
Today, about 20 students will become reinforcements for some of our local hospitals as they finish their undergrad degree here at Aiken Tech. Now, they'll go from sitting in these seats to putting on scrubs, and they'll help try to ease that shortage at some of our local hospitals.
A lot of our hospital partners have said they need every last one.
In the middle of a global pandemic, all 24 of Aiken Tech's class of 2020 nursing students will be put on the front line helping staff our local hospitals.
I want to help my community here. I mean, I know that we need nurses all around. There's nurses needed everywhere, but you have to start at home.
Here at home, our hospitals say they are seeing a nursing shortage. Huffman wants to fill the gaps. She'll be working in the ICU at Aiken Regional Medical Center.
Not only are we caring for patients going through a pandemic, we're the nurses going through a pandemic.
Almost 100% of Aiken Tech's nursing students go to our local hospitals, according to the Dean of Nursing.
We try every day to push out or to create good, successful nurses who can join that workforce.
Aiken Tech says they have 10 to 20% less students in their nursing program this year, and the classes look different too.
Our students could not go to clinical, and that's where we receive most of our hands-on experiences. So therefore, we had to come up with simulations, we had to come up with additional labs and so forth that will allow our students to gain those skills.
Those skills will help relieve the pressure of nurses caring for COVID patients.
We can take care of the other patients who are not COVID positive. So we can assist them by taking care of and helping out, with the other patients so that the nurses that are needed can focus on the COVID-19 patients.
And these grads are ready to start helping.
And it makes me feel very privileged that I can be a part to help. I have a purpose and I'm needed.
In Aiken, Wrdw, on your side.
The Dean of Nursing says many of those students will most likely take their nursing exams in January. From there, they'll be working for some of our local hospitals.
Happening right now, you can get your questions answered.
In the last few hours, we're learning all Edgehill County schools will move to remote learning for the rest of this semester. All 8 schools will not go back to in-person training until after the winter break. Meriwether Elementary and Stromthurman High School were already doing remote learning. Also new today, 2 more Richmond County schools will go to virtual learning starting tomorrow. Warren Road Elementary and the Performance Learning Center will not go back to in-person classes until after the winter break. That's now 6 Richmond County schools that will be virtual only tomorrow.
That doesn't include these three schools. Hounsabah High went back to face-to-face classes today. Jenkins White and Lake Forest Hills Elementary Schools head back to in-person classes tomorrow. And now the district has a new strategy to get teachers to combine resources. Brady Trapnell explains cluster academies.
As cases rise, so goes the challenge of school. Just ask Jasmine Goldsberry.
I've had to learn 5 different ways to access it and go through and find my children's assignments.
She's a parent of 5 children in Richmond County schools, and this year, their grades have dropped.
They're used to being taught in a certain manner, and it transitioning to what it is now is not the same, and they're not grasping things the same way.
Some parents say there's nothing like walking through these school doors. Online learning takes a toll.
How do you make it smooth? I don't know that you can, but we try to be as prepared as we can.
Dr. Melinda Cobb, Associate Superintendent of Academic Services, says they're encouraging better communication and telling teachers to be sensitive to the best types of assignments for the learning model or the situation.
When we have strong communication and the teachers, the parents, the students know what to expect, it's easier.
But a new idea, Cluster Academies, is offering a new challenge. One teacher, for example, would teach 5th grade math at several different schools virtually, all at the same time.
Got the same number of teachers, same number of buildings, same number of students. How can we get creative?
School officials say it's a solution that came about due to a big change. This semester, schools averaged about 50-50 online and in-person learning. In January, they expect it to be 70-30, favoring face-to-face. That change caused staffing issues.
We didn't want to have to say that this particular school can't have online instruction.
So in January, they're going to group some virtual classes together to keep social distancing and give all parents a different option.
Schools are communicating with them, so there's no surprise. You don't have to worry, are we going to be one of the cluster schools?
But you will have to wait and see if it will work. Reporting in Augusta, Brady Trapnell on your side.
And Richmond County Schools says they're really working to keep schools open at all costs, but if it's not safe or critical staff is quarantining, that's when these closures are being made. Not all schools will have these cluster academies, just the ones impacted by staffing shortages.
We've been hearing fewer bell ringers outside stores this holiday season because of the pandemic, but that's why the Salvation Army of Augusta is trying something different for the Red Kettle campaign this year. The Red Kettle concert is coming up in about 45 minutes from now, featuring local artists from all over the river region.
The concert will be live streamed at 7 tonight on the Salvation Army's Facebook page, and we will link you there through our Facebook page. You can donate to the Salvation Army online, and we have all the details for you on our website.
And we are expected to finally feel like December.
It is the holiday season, and nothing says happy holidays like falling on ice skates, I guess. But last year, we were a little spoiled. We had 2 ice skating rinks. This year, we're lucky to have one. You know, in the South, we're really lucky to have any ever.
You know, that is so true. It's putting a different spin on ice skating this season. Celeste Springer shows us how.
This unassuming room is about to be transformed and filled with people taking part in a classic holiday pastime.
We've been up for a few days just practicing and working out the kinks. And overall, this is going to be a good fit for holidays.
There will be new additions like arcade games, but other things are scaling back.
We're not doing a lot of prepared foods this year, just to be more on the safe side this year.
The people at Holiday say this space is twice the size of the tent they had last year, which will hopefully ensure for some social distancing. And if you're uncoordinated on the ice, like I clearly am, it'll hopefully also make sure that you're not running into other people as well. The ice isn't really ice, it's synthetic, but Mike Fanning says he thinks people will still be able to have a good time.
This is a good family atmosphere that I really feel like, the family can get out and enjoy it.
Meanwhile, other skating rinks like Evans on Ice are closed for the season.
Man, we are so disappointed not to be in the middle of our 4th season of Evans on Ice this year. Evans on Ice from its start has been about bringing the community together, and coronavirus has just made that so hard this year.
They say they made the difficult call to cancel with safety in mind.
We didn't feel like it was the right thing or responsible thing to do to really emphasize people gathering together in the middle of COVID.
But they're happy to say they're already planning to get people back on the ice under normal circumstances next year. Celeste Springer on your side.
If you're interested, Holler Ice will open starting tomorrow, and skate rentals, by the way, will run you about $15.
And they'll be open 7 days a week until mid-January, except they will be closed Christmas Day. But Riley, it's been a little warmer than we've seen lately, but